Welcome to everybody. How are you guys? There is maybe some problem with the audio. Maybe yes. Do you hear me? Okay, let me check. Okay, now it's correct. So let me know if everything is okay. Welcome to Fractal Saturday Live, guys. Okay, today we speak about the impulse responses. I hope that you know what is impulse responses. It is, let's say, a capture of the set of cabinet plus microphone and also the ambient, also the EQ, and also very important the position of the microphone compared to the cone, because if I change the position of the microphone, the sound changes dramatically. Okay. Sometimes I check some groups that speaks about guitars, amplifier, effects, but I'm really surprised that very few people and few groups spent a lot of time to speak about the speakers. And for my opinion, speakers is really, really important in the sound chain. I can say that if I assume 100%, the amp is the 40%, the cabinet is 60%. A good amp cannot sound good with the wrong cabinet. Okay, and maybe good cabinet can sound good with the not so good amplifier. Okay, so first of all, I suggest you to take care a lot of the combination with the amp and the cabinet. Even if it is Dynacab, it is factory cab, it is impulse responses, there are several methods to simulate the cabinet, but it is important that you try to spend a bit of time to understand the cabinet, to understand what is the perfect matching between the cabinet and the amp. My presets are in the store, and I spent a lot of time to find the correct matching between the amp and the cabinet. I don't like, honestly, to try to reproduce artist sound, because it is very good for the selling. Of course, I'm honest. If I create a sound of that guitar player or another artist and so on, it is much, much better, because people, it is the sound of this and that. Okay, but okay. It to me is, let's say, how can I say, is not so I have difficulty to find the correct way. It's not so transparent. I don't know, because in the sound of the artist that you hear in a recording album or on stage and so on, there are so many things from the amp to our ears: equalization, ambient, microphone, and so on and so on. I love instead to create the best sound with the amplifier. For example, now I'm working with the Atomica, the last MF Atomica HG presets. And to me, it is a very nice sound. That's it. Doesn't matter if it is for this and that artist, because I offer you the possibility to have your sound, to search your sound, to shape your sound. And this is the reason that I do also this Fractal Saturday Live. Okay, let's proceed. Today, I would like to show you how to work with the impulse responsive with Fractal audio. And first of all, I started to work with AM4 because I know there are some new users that use AM4. So let's go to the editor, and to install the impulse response, you have to download the impulse response package. Typically, the package is it's up to the manufacturer. There are several folders, several methods, and so on. Okay. In any case, what we have to do is to use the tools menu and go to the manage cabs. Okay. Then, this is the list of the cabinet that we have installed in our AM4. There are 256 slots. On FM3, there are 148, if I remember, or 124, if I remember. There are more, but 256 is quite enough. Also because you still have the Dynacabs if you want, of course. And of course, you can use the Dynacabs. I use impulse responses since a long time, and honestly, I prefer to use the impulse responses, especially because I have a very nice and good collaboration and partnership with the Valhalla IR.at. And especially now, the Valhalla released the new cabinet that is a Marshall 4x12 cabinet from 1970. It is absolutely amazing. So let's assume that we have the empty space where we want to install our impulse responses. We download the impulse responses from a website, okay, and then we go to the tool, manage cabs. Sorry. So click on the browser. First of all, open the folder. We have to address the folder where we installed and we download our impulse responses. So we can go to our folder. My one is this one, for example, Valhalla. Okay, this is the list of the Valhalla IR impulse response. I have a lot of one, of course. Then this is the last impulse response from Valhalla. And for Fractal, I selected this typology of impulse responses. They are 48 kilohertz, first of all, is important, 24-bit and 170 milliseconds length for the impulse response. This is the perfect impulse response for Fractal. Then into the folder we have also other subfolders: ambient mix, close mix, mixes, and selections. Okay, selection is pretty easy. It is a selection of the, let's say, favorite impulse responses. Mixes is a mix, okay, of different impulse responses. We have a close mix, okay, and ambient mix. The difference is ambient mix. It is impulse response captured far from the cabinets to have the ambient sound. You can use it. I don't use it, especially with the 4x12 cabinet. I prefer to use only the close mix. As you can see, you have also other two subfolders. One is MPT and one is RAW. MPT means minimum phase time. That the difference is when you capture the impulse response, you have a certain amount of time. It is very, very small because there is a distance between the surface of the cone and the microphone. And this typically the impulse response doesn't start the signal doesn't start from zero, but from, let's say, 1 millisecond later, less than 1 millisecond later. And this could create some problems. For this reason, I suggest you to use the MPT. MPT, it is the minimum phase time. So you have no any noise, no any signal, null signals, in the beginning of the impulse response. So it is much more easier to combine different impulse responses to create the mixes. This is the reason. So of course you can use the raw, but if you use the raw, you have to be sure that the alignment of the impulse response is the same. For Fractal is pretty easy. I will show you later on. It's pretty easy to find the correct alignment. But if you want to avoid any issue, I strongly recommend you to use the MPT version. Okay. You have the MPT also for the selection, also for the ambient mix. Okay. Well, then I go to the close mix. I select the MPT and click on open. Well, and now I can see on the left column the list of the impulse responses. Then I suggest you also to put the list in the alphabetical order, and you can sort alphabetically. To me, is much more readable, and so you can have the list of the impulse responses. And to install, it is absolutely easy. You can drag and drop the impulse response on the slot you want. Okay? You can also select a different impulse response in the same time, or all impulse responses. For example, I wanted to select all this one. So I click on the first one. I keep the shift button on the keyboards, and I click again so I can select the group of impulse response. Now I drag the impulse response on the list. Pay attention. Now the tool says that, okay, the impulse response are ready to install, not yet installed, because to install, you have to press the save. Okay. There is a pop-up that adverts you that, okay, the existing impulse responses will be overwritten. So you click on OK, and so you can see here the bar that store the impulse responses on your Fractal unit. And now, as you can see, the impulse response become green. When they are green, you are sure that the installation is correct. Okay? I would like to also show you why there is a so long name for the impulse response. It is also important to understand the reasons that many manufacturers create a name, and what is the reason. Typically, any manufacturer has an help document where you can check what is the meaning of some terms, some words, some numbers, and so on. For Valhalla, for example, the name is composed by different words. So V2, it is the version, because there was also the VH, it is the older version. Then there is the name of the cabinet, 1982 HG. HG, it means is Holy Grail, because this cabinet is pretty rare and very, very nice. Then there is a letter D, means dynamic microphone. It is the attribution of the microphone. When you see D, it is dynamic. Dynamic means SM57, or like in this case D202. It is an AKG microphone. It's very strange microphone, but it is a okay, E906. It is a Sennheiser dynamic microphone. You can scroll down the list, for example, and you can find the SM7B, the typical Shure, or the SM57. And now you can find, for example, the K. K means condenser, because Valhalla, it is a German company. Okay, condenser start with K. This is the condenser microphone, and also there is R. R means ribbon microphone. As you can see, there is the Beyerdynamic M160 or the typical Royer 128. And okay, after the letter, there is the typology of the microphone. VR1 is a SE Electronics microphone, for example, and you can see it is pretty interesting and important to understand what is the voice of the microphone, because any microphone sounds pretty different. And of course, you can scroll down all impulse response and try yourself what is the voice of that impulse response. But I suggest you to try to understand which microphone sound brighter, other microphone sounds darker, and so on. With some other with the high mid range, low mid range, and so on. Also to understand. Nothing is fixed, of course, but so you can have an idea. It's like in the real world, because also when you go to the recording studio, the sound engineer knows which microphone to use to record your guitar. You want typically the typical rock sound. You can use a SM57. Yes, maybe not. There are several tests you can do, and you have to do to find out the proper sound. And it is the same with the impulse response. Impulse response is only a picture of the combination of the cabinet plus the microphone and different position of the microphone in front of the cone. Okay, so this is the very convenient method to install the impulse responses. I wanted to show you also another method with AXFX3, because with the FM3, FM9, and also AXFX3, of course, you can let me switch on. Okay, you can also test the impulse responses before to install, because the method I shown you needs that you install all impulse responses and you have to check. Okay, there is another interesting method where you can use the scratchpad cabinet. What is scratchpad? I show you. In any cabinet, as you can see, you have the factory bank, the factory to bank, the legacy bank, and also the scratchpad. User 1, user 2, and user 3. This is the AXFX3. Of course, FM3 is a bit different, but in any case, you will find out the scratchpad. Scratchpad, it is a temporary memory where you can dynamically work with impulse response. So I select the scratchpad 1. I have, if I remember, maybe I have, let me check, scratch 16 slot, as you can see here. There are 16 empty slots. They are not saved. It is only temporary. Remember that if you cannot save anything. Okay, you can use it, but when you switch off the unit, the memory becomes empty. Well, on the scratchpad, now if I try to play, nothing happened, of course. And now I do the same method that I shown before. Go to the tools, go to the manage cabinets. Okay. The screen is the same. It is white instead black. I select the browser, open directory, choose the folder. Then I have already selected the Valhalla IR cabinet, the MPT one, open. Okay. This is the list. Then it is necessary to sort. Okay. And as you can see, now there is the Audition Scratchpad 1, or you can select one of the 16 Scratchpad slot available. Now, the sound is, there is no sounds yet, but when I select the first one, double click. Magically, the sounds appears. This means that if I close these windows, now I can see in the scratchpad the impulse response I've selected. Okay? Let's come back to the tools, manage cabinet. If I press the auto audition, what's happened? I can select any impulse response and automatically is uploaded to the scratchpad slot. So I can easily try the impulse responses without install, only uploaded to the temporary memory. You can hear how big is the difference between some impulse responses. And you have to consider that we are working with the same cabinet, with the same microphone. What change is only the positions. The position of the microphone and also the speaker, because also for Valhalla, A, it is the upper left speaker, B, it is the upper right speaker, C, it is the lower right, it is, okay, clockwise name. Okay, so you can hear what is the difference. So it is not enough to select the cabinet and that's it. You have to select the cabinet, you have to select the microphone, and also you have to try different position. With Dynacab, you can move the spot, the microphone in the space. With the impulse responses, you can scroll down the list of the impulse responses and try and to find out the correct one. When you find the correct impulse response, like this one, you simply drag and drop. Okay. You can select another one. Try another microphone, for example. I love, for example, the condenser. This condenser microphone. It is K. Perfect. Drag and drop, and now I save to store the impulse response on the Fractal unit. This is a very convenient method. Instead to install thousands of impulse responses, you can work with a folder, with a scratchpad, and upload and test the impulse response sequentially. Very, very convenient. Perfect. I, of course, remember, don't use the scratchpad anymore, because if I switch off and switch on the impulse response, the fractal unit, this slot will be empty. So you have to remember to press the picker, go to the user bank, or was to the bank where you where you store the impulse responses. Just here, user 1 slot 21, and now you can save the your preset. Okay, I hope that this explanation is helpful for you. I see very few people today. Maybe this topic is not interesting. I don't know why. To me, it is the most important part. Okay, it is the reason that I live, because my job is based on the matching of amp and the cabinet and impulse responses. But okay, I hope in any case that you can see this tutorial, and you can write down the comment, any questions below the video, and I will answer you as soon as possible. Okay. Amen. Ciao, Stratos. Amen. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. What is your mastering change right now? Thank you for help. Mastering change, that means, okay, if you mean how I am connect now, very, very, very super simple. This is AXFX3, okay? The output goes to the audio interface without any EQ. I know I don't use any global EQ. As you can see, I switched off all the EQ, and the audio interface goes directly to the web. So what you are here now, it is the same that I am here. Nothing else. Okay. I of course do this method for several impulse response. I also wanted to show you another method that I use typically. I create let's say super cabinet like this one, where for every channel I create different and my favorite impulse response for this cabinet. This is the cabinet 1982 HG, for example. As you can see on the AXFX3, but you can do the same with FM3, also with the AM4, FM3, FM9. I upload, I prepare a cabinet where I install in every channel and in every slot several impulse response, okay, where I can test the sound of the impulse response. Very, very easy and also very quick, because it is important to have a very fast check of the different impulse response. To do this, I suggest to you, for example, to put the looper in the beginning. Here, for example, you can play a riff. Just a moment, I have to switch off the compressor. I don't know why. Also the delay. Okay, now I've recorded my guitar. Instead to continue to play, you can run the looper and you can change the cabinet very easily and fastly. Now it sound this one, this one, this one, or I change the channel. Then I change also another channel with different impulses. Okay, it is clear. Same cabinet, but different impulse response. And I check what is the better impulse response to me. Looper, it is very helpful, okay, to avoid to continue to play and to have the very good reference. And of course, after you do this, I recommend you to test the sound not only alone, but into the backing track. This is absolutely important because sometimes very good sounds alone doesn't fit the correct mix. And sometimes, in my experience, I discovered that I created the sound, but in the mix is not good. I have to change the impulse response. I have to change the settings. So with this method, it is pretty easy to change immediately the impulse response and check if that impulse response is very good with the mix. Sometimes it's completely different. I can show you an example. For this preset, I use this impulse response because it's not so fat like this one, for example. This impulse is fat, is big, but in the mix is not so good. It's not so good. It's much better this one. I can show you. I can work with. Let me. Change the impulse response. This one to me is not so nice compared to the first one. Try another one. This one This one seems thin, but in reality, it is much better into the mix. This is the reason that I recommend you don't stop your choice with the sound that you can get with your guitar alone. No, try it on into the mix. And another very, very important recommendation is try into the mix and also record. Because when you play, you have a feeling. When you listen, you have different feeling. This is my experience. And of course, I remember you, it is matter of taste because okay, I like this impulse response, maybe you like the other one. It is absolutely normal, of course, but it is up to you. You have to find out your sound. You have to feel your sound under your finger. It is you. I offer you a template when you can work and you can shape your tone in the perfect. And also I love to give you some instruments to shape your tones. Okay. I would like that everybody of people that use my preset use this method. Not only buy the preset and that's it. Buy the preset and try it. Try to tweak. Try to modify. And I'm happy because we are human beings and we are different. I am different of you. Better or worse doesn't matter. It's not an issue of which is better or not. Absolutely, that you have to find out your feeling, and I love to give you the tools to find out your correct feeling. Okay, let me check your questions. No, what I'm using now, I show you how to install and use external impulse response. Of course, if you wanted to use the existing impulse response, we go to the factory 1, factory 2. I can select the input. These impulse response are already in the memory of the fractal unit. Okay. Of course, I explain you only the using of the impulse response you can install on the user memory. Of course. Okay. Maybe I was not clear, but I believe that was clear that I am speaking about the external impulse response because this. Sorry, I go to the editor. Sorry. This impulse response that you can find on the factory 1, on the factory 2, are already installed. You don't do nothing. You can select it by the picker. Go to the picker, select the factory 1, factory 2, or you can type, for example, AX version. On the wiki Fractal, you find out also the explanation of any impulse response, what is the manufacturer, what is the code, how to read the name, and so on. Of course, this you have already. Okay. Okay, Looper allow you to on focus to choose IR and not to be distracted by playing. Exactly, Mutella. Exactly. This is the reason that but it is half and half. Okay, because yes, you can concentrate your attention to the sound, but it is also necessary that you feel the sound under your fingers. Okay, and sometimes not just the same. Okay, you have to do this and that. Okay. Okay. Have you tried Tone Factor XR IRs? No, sorry, I don't. I never. I have a long time partnership with Valhalla IR, and I use since a long time. I'm very happy of the quality of this impulse response. But of course, you can use any kind of impulse response in the world. There are so many manufacturers that also that let's say I love the Valar because now I know the philosophy behind. I know some microphones. I know, and to me, it's, let's say, easier to match the cabinet and the impulse response. Okay, if I do this for every impulse response, I need more than my life, but maybe 2, 3 of my life to do this. Okay, guys. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. I hope that this tutorial is useful for you. If you have any question, type the question below the video. Thank you so much to G66 and of course to you for the attention, and have a nice weekend to everybody. Hi guys, thank you so much.